Hello, hello! Welcome to the Red Ned Show, where it's always morning, even in the afternoon. I'm your host, Jay Edgar, and over to the other side of the screen today, we have a special guest in because, unfortunately, the woman who normally sits over there has come down with the commie coup, or so we've suspected. So, Robert, thanks for sitting in on such short notice tonight and helping us out.
No problem, Ed. It's good to be here. Good to be here. How are you tonight?
I'm doing good. This is, I think, your first time back since we ended the Ed's World, isn't it?
I believe it might actually be.
I know John's been back and helped me out a couple times there, but I know with the family issues and everything happening around the Robert house, you haven't really been able to be in on that, but we're glad that you're here today because we've got a bunch of stuff to talk about. It's been a weird week. We all thought it was going to be a short week this week, but it has definitely been a weird one this week. I don't know, have you seen half the crap that we've seen that we're going to be talking about this week?
Actually, yeah. I've been surfing my news feed throughout the Christmas holiday, even with folks running around and everything, just trying to, stay in the loop on things. A lot of my focus has been both, of course, the stimulus and the budget, and then of course, incidents, here at home in Tennessee, actually. So. But yeah, it's a lot going on. It's just crazy, to be honest with you.
Oh, I've got to ask with where we're going to start off, and this will be a little bit of teaser to where we get after the lightning round. But do you feel stimulated? Do you feel like your economy is going to be stimulated, or even your home life?
I have to say, Ed, that I think I'm severely on the fence on this one. It's a double-edged sword, no matter which way you swing it. It really is.
Well, we are going to talk about the drama that has led up to this because this has been a full week process. Definitely has been something that's been going on pretty much ever since we turned the cameras off last week. So we'll talk a bit about the drama that got to the point today where the Donald came up and said, "I'm going to sign it." And then even still, the drama didn't stop. So we'll talk a little bit about the process that went over there and a few of the things that were in there that people weren't really happy about. I've got some tweets and some pictures loaded up here. We can go talk about that and talk about the fact that Tulsi Gabbard, among others, decided that they didn't want to sign on to this originally. So we'll watch some of that. Teased in the beginning as well, Nashville has popped up in the news. We talked about this just briefly on Christmas Day during Contemporary when Stephen Ignoramus was my special guest, but I definitely got into it a bit more this morning. But oh my God, as more and more stuff popped out about this one. This has been a weird one to watch for sure. This has definitely been a strange situation. So we'll talk a bit about what happened there and look at some of the video of that. The vaccine rollout continues to go on, and coronavirus continues to rage on, and some people are saying let them eat cake on the coronavirus side as well. So we'll talk a bit about the coronavirus this week. We will end out talking about some of these big pardons that so many people have such a big problem with, and I've got some surprise stupidity for you at the end here because it's become a tradition on this show, and as long as you're here, I might as well show you the stupidity of the world here. It's going to be all of this and more over on the Red Ned Show. Thanks for checking us out live over on DLive, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope, and Facebook. And if you're over on Facebook, hit one of those links in the description above you and head on over there so we can see your chat. We do take live chat in between topics, so we'll definitely answer your questions, take your comments. If your comment is sufficiently stupid, we'll rail on you for it. Or if you can't catch up with us live, you can catch us back on demand over on YouTube and over on BitChute.com. Go over there and check us out on either of those sides as well. Or if you want to take us on the go, you can find us over on the audio platforms, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and Spotify. Wherever you want to take us on the go, you can take us. And if there's a platform there that I'm not on that you want to use for your podcatcher, let me know and we'll add it up to the series. So, with that, how was your week?
My week?
Yes, how was your week?
It was actually, it was good. It was surprisingly, it was one of those. There was the week-long build-up to Christmas, so there was little things going on, family, this, that, and the other, coming through, going out, the whole 9 yards. So it seemed to fly by, is what it actually did. It just seemed to just go by in a blur, to be honest with you. But I had a nice Christmas morning with my wife, and then her birthday was on Sunday, yesterday. So we were able to go out to dinner and enjoy some time together. I drank this weekend.
Oh,
Drank. Right. Well, my wife comes home on Christmas Eve with a bottle of Amaretto di Serrano, which is my favorite sipping drink. And she's like, "Oh, here, have this," and I'm like, "Okay." And then we went out to dinner last night, of course, and I ordered a drink, and I ordered a double, and I was thinking, they're tall double. No, they just brought me a glass of liquor. All right, fine.
well, I got to say that I enjoyed a little bit of the sauce this weekend myself. Since I started doing low carb, I haven't really been drinking much because my body's not used to processing that kind of sugar, so I get hammered in an instant like that because my body's just not used to it anymore. But my sister had a really, really good bottle of red, and I decided that I had to indulge. Very dry, very, very strong and robust, and I'm glad I took a couple glasses.
Yeah, it was nice. This that I drank, I think since Christmas Eve, I drank half the bottle of Amaretto di Serrano, and then the one drink last night, and that's probably the most I've had to drink in the last 9+ months. That's I don't remember the last time I had a beer. It's been at least 6 months or more. So it's like, but yeah, I understand. It hits you. I had a couple of drinks the first night and I'm like, "Whoa, lady, what are you trying to do to me?"
Well, you are a friend of the show and a friend of the Freedom Scoop Network,
Mm-hmm.
but there are some people that have come over from the Elaine side of things that may not know who you are. So why don't you tell us just a bit about yourself and what you do online?
Well, I am the better half, of course, of the Generational Gap, which is on YouTube, DLive, etc. And it's to be honest with you, it was never something that I really thought about doing. I pay attention to the news more so now in my older years. But my co-host John, he and I had a started a friendship, and we really had these really long juxtaposed conversations. I mean, we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things, but we were able to converse like the kind of conversation, the discourse you want people to have, as opposed to the arguing and fighting and the backbiting that goes on with it. Then one day, John, who has had some interest in it, he says, maybe we should do a podcast. Maybe we should do a show. And so we started trying out. That's been about 3 years or so ago. And we like doing it. We don't have a huge following. We get a handful of folks here and there on our show, but it's a good following. It's I'm happy doing it. I've learned to like have a love for it. But that's the thing is, in this day of you know fake news slash mainstream media, polarized world that we live in, just to have voices out there that are saying, what we think and trying to stir up conversation and keep people from, I don't know, jumping off the deep end. Don't jump off the deep end. Let's just talk.
Well, we are going to test your knowledge of the news right now. We've got a few
Oh
things to
shit.
clean up before we get into the big part of the news here.
Mm.
I want to thank Yelma Fago, Midget B, Ron Helton, and McConnell Smuggles Coke for hanging out with us here. We will check back with you before we get into the big budget news coming up here. So if you guys want to get any of your comments in, like I said, if they are sufficiently stupid, we will shame you for them. So do your worst here. Let's step back and look at some of this voting information here because that seems to be where we're going to lead off here. Sidney Powell says the White House officials have blocked her from speaking to President Trump. That's probably the best decision. I don't
Right.
know.
Is she surprised? Should she be surprised?
I think she's surprised. I don't know if anybody else is, but I'm pretty sure she is at this point.
Yeah, she's a perfect example of Donald Trump's own unhinged ramblings. Not that he doesn't say some decent things on Twitter sometimes,
He does.
but the unhinged things that he said. I think she's a perfect example of that being in his face, like he's seeing it from the other side for once, just how unhinged things can get. And it's a smart move. Yeah, she's not she's like a step above Rudy.
Yeah.
I mean, she's coming from a whole new place.
So Powell told the Washington Examiner this week, I haven't met or spoken with the president since Friday night. The president knows this election was stolen, but he's not getting the support he, the Constitution, and the Republic deserve. His own people are misleading and undermining him while protecting their own careers and agendas, which, I mean, where's the lie on that last? I think she's kind of in a no-win situation, and she's just looking crazier.
There's a big plan to keep her away from him. Like, this is not coming from him, right? Trust me, Sydney. He doesn't want you there. They're not just, they're not lying to you. He doesn't want you there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he's coming up and saying, it's not me. It's not you, it's me. No, it's you at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely you. I'm surprised he hasn't put out a "you're fired" tweet. Right?
That would just top off all of 2020 at that point.
Wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be great? Just let her know point blank. Okay, you know what? You're only going to hurt my chances of running in 2024 because she really will.
All right. New York City video captures the moments before Cuomo staffer is attacked by a cinder block.
That was disturbing.
It was. Video shows a homeless man creeping up on a female staffer for New York Governor Andrew Cuomo moments before he allegedly bashed her over the head with a cinder block near the New York City construction site. The victim, 51-year-old Lisa Kavanaugh, was walking home from work on 3rd Avenue near East 48th Street in broad daylight on Christmas Eve when Christopher Guzman allegedly attacked her, the New York Post reported. I think this was just random at that point. I don't.
Well, see, and I would agree with that. But there is a small part of me, he says that he was living in a homeless shelter.
Mhm.
And so my question then becomes, okay, is he in a homeless shelter because of all the COVID, anything to do with the COVID stuff? And he's blaming Cuomo and knows, has seen the woman coming and going from Cuomo's offices. I don't know. Or it could just be random. Why he picked her, I don't know. I didn't see anything saying that she was robbed or anything. It was more of an assault than anything else. It's I don't know. Somebody slip him $50 and be like, "Hey, go smack that chick in the head."
Yeah, that could be.
I mean, but I don't know. It was just disturbing seeing it because, like the video just showed just right at the last moment, all you see is him raising the brick and you know what happens after. But oh, God. Oh, no.
Well, he is in custody now for felony assault, so If
I think
anything,
it'll matter. It'll just be whatever he comes out and says, why he did it. He'll eventually give a reason, and then we'll know from that. I don't agree. If you want to take something out on Cuomo, do so, but not the people that are just there by circumstance. Now,
yeah, I'm sure we've heard the last of this one here because this isn't going to turn out well enough for the 24-hour news cycle. But it was entertaining to watch anyway.
right.
CNN reports Chinese journalist who documented Wuhan coronavirus outbreak jailed for 4 years. This was an odd and a bizarre one too. I mean, we know this about the Chinese that they just if anybody is against the CCP,
Paula, this is just a
go away.
testament
Nobody
to
likes
how
you. Stupid autoplay. Nobody
Right.
likes you, CNN.
Yeah, and that was something that they were, in the article they talked about that they were surprised, that there are it points to more concern about media in China. Are you kidding me? More concern?
Hmm.
Really? I mean, what are you talking about? This is not new. I'm surprised. You know what was surprising in this for me? She only got 4 years.
Oh, after the hunger strike that she's been on and everything else, she's not going to make it 4 years. This is a life sentence for her.
Well, yeah, no, I don't, she may not come out of there, but I was shocked. I'm like, 4 years? That's nothing. I mean, I would have expected, something much more heinous coming from them. You know, that's the surprise.
The worst part is I mean, we saw some of this under Barack's regime too. Anybody who spoke out against the illustrious Obama wound up getting jailed or fined or otherwise off of this here. Not to the work camp point that Zhang Zhan is going to wind up in because she's going straight to the salt mines.
Well, I I do have some concerns as to what the same thing is going to look like here before too long, because citizen journalism, as it could be referred to, is an ongoing thing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at George Floyd, right? Let's look at all these different situations that go on where people are citizen journalists now catching it. What we do moving forward and how we handle those things, that's going to be the telling thing.
Yeah, I'm already ready to just start doing gaming content. Just in case something were to happen.
Right.
Ah, Kamala Harris raised some eyebrows this week. Vice President-elect Kamala Harris shares Kwanzaa message. Vice President-elect Kamala Harris is wishing all who celebrate a happy first day of Kwanzaa. She posted a video on Instagram commemorating the holiday that honors African American and Pan-African culture and talked about celebrating the holiday growing up in spite of the fact that she's not African and the holiday is 3 years younger than she is.
Um, I can you had cringe when you said Kamala Harris. I physically, at the mention of her name, I physically cringe every time. I found this out when I saw it in the show notes. I literally cringed, and because I just cannot stand her, and something like that. I can't. I didn't even watch the message. I'm sorry, I didn't. I don't even want to hear her speak because the
I
sound
did
of her
put video
voice.
in for this one. I
What?
thought about it, but I didn't.
Thank you. I appreciate that because it's a very akin to nails on a chalkboard for me.
Well,
Listening
the
to her
worst part
speak.
I mean, this is the most empty suit thing. This woman made a career out of putting the kind of people who celebrate Kwanzaa in prison for minor drug offenses so that she can use them for cheap labor to fight the wildfires in California. And now she's coming out saying, "Oh, happy Kwanzaa, okay? Yeah, I remember celebrating that." And I know she brings up the fact that she celebrated with her sister in spite of fact, like I say, Kwanzaa came out, was it 1967? And she was born in 1964. I'm sure that she has great memories of celebrating this as a child.
You know what? There's nothing. Honestly, Ed, I'm mostly speechless when it comes to her. I mean, I really am, because I was like, yeah, it, she's going. She's nothing but pander, nothing but identity politics. There's nothing of substance to the woman, and there's no way anyone can get me to admit and say anything positive about her. I don't think it's possible. I'll just be I'll just come off as mean. I really will.
Candace Owens had a message for her followers and Glenn Beck this week. Let's have a listen to what that sounded like.
Okay.
There we go.
Tweeted right before you went on the air, and I just saw it. I am now honestly considering running for office. I never had any desire previously, but something has changed in me last night. Had a conversation with my husband, and I think it's a plan.
Yeah, I did tweet that, and that is real.
You just tweeted it 25 minutes ago. So what
I
tell
did.
me about it.
You know, I was talking to my husband about this and my frustration with all of these governors and how dishonest they've been. And, you know, I grew up in Connecticut. I came up in New York. I spent my early 20s, 7 years in New York City. I was born in New York. And watching the way that these governors are lying and mismanaging, I'm getting sick of it. So I said to my husband, I think I should get into politics. I think I should run. I should surprise run and take somebody for everything they have and expose these people. And we had a conversation about it.
So run for?
I'm not entirely sure yet. And it will be a super surprise when I announce and when I do it. And I'll tell you something else, Glenn. I'll win. There'll be no question. I will win. I will win the entire thing. They won't know what hit them.
So, yes, of course, she will. She's sure she will win because anybody who would vote against her is about to get doxxed by Candace Owens because, that's what she does.
Yeah, I'm not entirely familiar with Candace Owens. I tried to get a gist of her a little bit, but she's I can get a bad sense from the grandstanding. It's like what it's like it almost made it sound like she's got all this dirt and she'll expose anybody that runs against her, so she's a lock to win.
Well, that's one of the problems with Candace is the fact that she's very well known for doxing people. When she came over to the right, she went out and started doxing anybody who disagreed with her, and she had a doxing site. She's well known for this. She plays dirty politics every chance she gets.
Well, is it possible that she's trying to out Trump? Is that setting the tone for the new wave of politicians we might be confronted with over the next couple of decades?
God, I hope not. And some of the rising stars on the independent media, I would like to see go into politics, just not that one.
Well, you say that, but I bet you could probably expand that list if you really started thinking about it and going, maybe I wouldn't want this person or this person, yeah. Right?
I would much rather see Lauren. Well, no, she couldn't because she is an American anyway. I was going to say I would much rather see Lauren Chen come into something like this than Candace Owens, but she's Canadian, so that doesn't work.
Yeah, no, it never happened. No.
A little bit of sad news in the popular culture realm. Iconic comedy theater Upright Citizens Brigade closes its Sunset Boulevard location.
Yeah.
Another business lost to the Commie Coup.
Yeah.
I didn't even know they were still around. I knew that their show on Comedy Central got canceled, and that was the last I'd heard of the Upright Citizens Brigade until one of my friends posted or retweeted a tweet about this 2 days ago.
Yeah, no, I knew that they had, and this is from having seen it. I forget what I saw it on, which had been filmed at some of the locations, but they had gone into teaching improv and doing an improv theater in various locations. They did a pretty good job of making a business out of it. But as you can see in that ad, like they're come in and learn improv. You can have pay classes or even free, whatever, just to get people to embrace their humor, embrace that, and have fun with it. But yeah, it was sad to see them go because they were pretty damn funny. They were pretty damn funny.
Yeah, well, a little bit of them I saw on Comedy Central. I thought they were good. Like I said, I didn't even realize that they were a standalone place. I thought it was just a sketch show on Comedy Central. Now I'm kind of sad I missed some of that.
Well, that's kind of like SCTV. A lot of people associate, people like Rick Moranis and stuff like that with other starts like, uh, Saturday Night Live, but SCTV out of Canada was a big one for a lot of people. Got them started.
Well, yeah, I mean you've got SNL, of course. They know that Mad TV, which was short lived. What else was there? Kids in the Hall.
Kids in the Hall. Nobody appreciates Kids in the Hall anymore, I don't think. I wish that would have a revival. I love that show. It's one of the best ever. Can't surprisingly enough, Canada's got some funny flipping people.
Yeah, that they do.
I mean, who'd have thunk it, right?
Statue Gate is not finished yet. Virginia removes its Robert E. Lee statue from the U.S. Capitol. They are taking out now. Every state is allowed to put 2 statues into the Capitol. So they had the Robert E. Lee statue in there, but they're taking that back out, which I thought it would be hilarious if Mississippi bought the statue from Virginia and then put it back at the Capitol. But looks like they are going to replace it with a statue of civil rights activist Barbara Johns, who I believe was a key player in Brown versus the Board of Education.
Look, if they're going to replace that statue with anybody, if they want to run in that vein, they need to replace that statue with Abraham Lincoln. I'm sorry. I mean, it just needs to go back to Abraham Lincoln. That's your default. But to have controversy over the statue and then replace it with a statue that is more than likely going to create different controversy. It's like, come on. I mean, I understand why it was there. I get it.
Yeah.
It wasn't because of the South. It wasn't necessarily about that. It was because, like, if you look at, it's George Washington and there's Robert E. Lee.
Yeah.
For their respective wars on our soil, those were the 2 greatest leaders in those wars. You don't have to win to be the greatest leader and to be the best general. That's all there is to it. But that's what I immediately thought when I saw those 2 statues standing there. Is that's what they represented. And but no, it saddens me that we're this politically correct that we've got to go through and do these kind of things. And I don't know. It's just weird.
The monoliths are back.
I saw that. That was sweet.
So, as sweet is the right word for it, this morning, San Francisco residents marvel at Christmas miracle of gingerbread monolith in the park. This is from the San Francisco Chronicle. It was Christmas morning, and not a creature in Alexis Gallagher's home was stirring. Not his wife Ringay, not his 12-year-old son Odysseus, and not his 9-year-old daughter Callisto. The puppy, though, was awake by 7:30 a.m., antsy for a walk, so Gallagher leashed Hermes, after the ancient Greek god, not to be confused with a fashion designer, the Bernedoodle, and made the 10-minute trek to Corona Heights Park, where they confronted what Gallagher described as a Christmas miracle. And it is, as you see on the screen, a gingerbread monolith that was supported by plywood. I'm sorry, that is just a massive waste of gingerbread.
No, because gingerbread is pretty sturdy, so it could probably stand up if they go out there and get it in enough time. It could hold up outside like that. Now, the dogs, that might come up and lick it, you don't want to eat the lower section.
Well, the dogs,
but the
the
upper
coyotes,
sections,
the birds.
Well, there's that.
I would rather people eat that stuff than any of the wildlife that's out there.
Yeah, it's too much sugar. You don't want people to eat that much sugar. That's mean, Ed. Think about their health. Think about their health.
Yeah.
But here's the question. Was it the same monolith people?
Nobody knows. This has been a weird story, and I've been avoiding it for as long as I could, but once the gingerbread one popped up, I said, I can't avoid this anymore. We got to talk about this. It's happening. So,
Right.
Yes, gingerbread monolith pops up in San Francisco. And as far as I know, I haven't seen an article saying it got taken down, so it is still there.
Yeah, see? Go get your cookie cutters.
A Beverly Hills eatery. This was the thing that restored my faith in humanity this morning. A Beverly Hills eatery reportedly planning indoor speakeasy New Year's Eve party draws police interest. So the police are going to go and shut this down at this point. But the fact that they're going to do it, or tried to do it at least, restores my faith in the rebellious nature of this country and the people in it. So, La Scala, a gourmet Italian eatery on 434 North Cannon Drive, reportedly placed invitations and carry-out bags to gauge its customers' interest in a speakeasy-style party, but when the word got out on social media, the officers in Beverly Hills stepped in, which is lame.
Yeah, yeah. But, hey, social distancing. Hey, no parties. Hey.
I know, it's lame. And I would love to do something like that. But, I mean, of course, we don't really have to do that here.
You know what? You know what would how they could get away with it? If they say it's a COVID vaccine party.
Oh, jeez.
Call it a vaccine party, and then the police will just leave it alone. You don't have to give away vaccines. Just call it,
I would say call it a peaceful Black Lives Matter protest. On to the Durham probe. This week, Trump says classified material can be used in the John Durham probe. The special counsel investigating the origins of the FBI's probe into the 2016 election now has the authority to use classified information indefinitely in its investigation, a procedural step following his earlier appointment, according to a memorandum issued Tuesday by President Trump himself.
Now, we're still investigating that?
Yep, that one's still going.
Aren't we done with that?
It's an investigation into an investigation, but Kamala Harris wants to start an investigation into the Durham probe, which would be an investigation into an investigation into an investigation. It's investigationception here.
It is, and I don't know. I would think that money would be better spent on a pizza party or something.
Pizza's good. I miss pizza.
Right? I would rather investigate a pizza than any more of this shit.
What about a pizza and then a fence store? Would you investigate something like that?
Only if they sold gates.
Possibly the worst news of the week here. Chris Christie is considering a presidential run in 2024. Yeah, I was a little bit more aggressive when I read this the first time, but yeah, I pretty much had the same sentiment.
You know what? Every time I hear Chris Christie anymore, I just, like, the first image that pops in my head, Danny DeVito as the Penguin from Batman. It's all I picture, and then I move on.
By the way, PTP podcast over there is making it rain lemons. So we gotta thank him for that one. I see that over on my monitor.
Much here. Lemon love. Love the lemon.
Love those lemons. Yeah, no. Chris Christie of all people. If you're just gonna look back and say, okay, the GOP is gonna go back to its establishment bullshit and be indistinguishable from the Democrat Party, then yes. If that's what you want, put Chris Christie up, because he is the swamp. He is the dirty establishment. He is everything that Trump voters didn't want the GOP to be.
Well, he's definitely one of those people that obviously can't look at himself in the mirror, look himself in the eye, and be.
That's because
just be
there's
honest.
no mirror wide enough to look at himself.
Right. And just be honest with himself, right? I mean, his chances of gaining any major political office anymore are. Come on, really? You think we've seen little scandals on you in the past? Wait, just wait. Oh my God, there's no telling what they'll do to you if you wanted to run for office.
Speaking of running for office, Twitter has come out this week and said that Donald Trump, once he leaves office, will be subject to Twitter rules, which means he's probably going to get banned as soon as they do. And all I can say to that is, Jack, your platform was circling the drain in 2014 pretty much up until the point that Trump came down the escalator in 2015. You're going to crash your fucking platform. Ban him. Do it. He's going to go over to Gab. and all of his religious followers are going to say, "Oh, we've got to go to Gab now because that's where the president is."
Well,
And all of the detractors are going to go over there and say, "He's going to say something racist. He's going to say I'm going to be the first one to comment. He's going to say something racist. Oh my god!"
now here's the thing. They won't ban him.
You don't think?
They will create a gray area for him to exist in, primarily from the fact that when they are able to step on a tweet he puts out, it creates enough user traffic to come visit what got stopped, or whatever the hell he said.
Yeah.
So they don't want to get rid of him. He is one of the best advertising and marketing tools they could have. Plus, he will keep it to a certain level of some sort of decorum, only from the standpoint if he's gonna run in 2024. So he'll want to play ball with Twitter, and they will want to play ball with him.
And I predict that too. I think you're absolutely right on that. I think that like I said, the platform was circling the drain before he decided that he was going to come on. Or no, he was already there, but I mean, before he became the president, before all of the world revolved around Twitter, Twitter was dying. You could do the same thing with Facebook fan pages and Instagram that you could with Twitter without the character limit.
Yeah.
So there really was no point to it anymore.
Well, it does remain to be seen if he might, he may create his own avenue for doing it. There's been talk of his own network, this, that, and the other. So, I mean, who knows? But I think for a certain period of time, at least, the two feed off of each other enough that he will remain a presence there.
Yeah, I think, like I said, for them to do what I think they're going to do, or what a lot of people think that they're going to do, I think would be probably one of the stupidest decisions that Twitter could make.
Yeah, it definitely would.
And they've made some stupid ones.
You would have a mass exodus from Twitter. You really would have a lot of people that would just drop them.
We got some sad economic news. Definitely got some sad economic news coming up in this one. Let me get the picture up so everybody can see it. Come on. There you go. Keemstar tweets out this week, "The McChicken has always been $1. McDonald's has just raised the price to $1.39. Everyone wants a stimulus package from the government to get some free money. But when the government just prints more money, the money you currently have is worth less. The McChicken now costs $1.39. Get it?"
Now, I'm going to say this. One thing that I think has had a big impact on this is the whole coronavirus situation. Simply because so many places now for food and everything else are relying on delivery. And one of the things that was happening is their prices were more expensive on the delivery sites for a while than they were if you went in store. And now they've kind of started by balancing it out by bringing up the prices in store. And they will say it's to accommodate for the extended cost of delivery and doing all of that, which I don't necessarily agree with 100%. I think people are going to capitalize on capitalism if they can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Same thing happened with the oil hikes and everything. When they see an opportunity, they're going to take it. And yeah, I've been watching prices go up on lots of little shit all around.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute. Go to your Home Depots, go to your Lowe's. Look at the cost of your home improvement now versus what it was 2 years ago, a year ago.
Yeah, but I mean, the McChicken was the one that resisted. The McChicken has been $1 for at least 18 years, because where I grew up, there was no easy access to a McDonald's. You had to go at least an hour to go and get one. But then I moved to the city and I started seeing them everywhere. The McChicken has been $1 since I was 18 years old.
Sure, but what happened to
everything
the poultry?
else went up around it?
What happened to the poultry industry? What happened to the meat industry whenever this pandemic hit? There were hits everywhere, So here it is now reflected in the cost of your McChicken. Dude, I thoroughly understand you because I'm telling you, when I go into a store and they ask me for $1.50 for a 25-cent candy bar when I was, you know, 14 years old, it's still a gut punch. I mean, it sounds like an old man thing to say, but paying a quarter for a candy bar that's now $1.50, $1.75 sucks.
Yeah.
To do it now sucks.
All right, I got just a couple more here, then we'll check the live chat and head into the big news of the week here. New York leads nation in population drop, could lose a House seat. Who do you think's on the bubble?
Um, I don't know. I can't. I don't. That New York is such a dicey place to even I don't know. It would have to be a significant population drop, right?
It has been a
So,
significant population drop.
and then that's like, okay, well, so where are they going? That's more the question. Where are all these people going? Are they coming here to Florida? Because oh Lord, but
You'll probably
no, I
get
don't.
some of that. They're coming out to some of the redder states to try and infect them with their blue state politics, no doubt. Which is something that I told them to do after 2016, when everybody says, "Whoa, how come we don't get more say in the country because we have more population?" And I said, spread out across the country. You'll either turn Republican or Libertarian because you're out there with hard work and realizing the day is hard work, or you'll turn it blue, wreck the fucking economy, and then go start finding someplace else to migrate to.
I don't know. So I guess I don't necessarily know for sure how they determine, like, okay, so if they're going to lose a House seat, I mean, there's that seat still has to go somewhere,
Yeah,
right?
no, it's going to go somewhere. So what they'll do with the census is they'll assess who has the most population gain. Probably a strong population gain on par with what New York is getting. But yes, there will always be 435 seats. That number is fixed, which I don't understand why it is, because it used to be a representative for every 50,000 people.
See, that I guess it depends on where that seat pops, because like I would expect, if it were me and New York is becoming a more, I guess, would progressive be the right word?
Hmm.
A more progressive city, then my guess is that you're going to see that seat is definitely going to go to the red side, because that's who I would see leaving New York more than anything else.
The only pushback that I would have on that would be possibly it's not people leaving like New York City that are going to other places, but like someplace like Rochester or something where it is more red up in the upstate region of New York, like Rochester, maybe not Albany because Albany is a capital and capital suffers from
Sure.
progressivitis, but like people leaving Rochester or Buffalo or something and taking
Well,
that kind of politics with them somewhere else
well,
because they
it's
realize that New York City is just going to drag their economy to shit.
it's possible. I would agree with that to a certain extent, though. I think that any significant population drop in New York is primarily, I would think the majority would be in, coming out of New York City, being that it is the most populous place in the state.
I don't know. I think it.
But I do think it's going to be a red, it's wherever it is, there's going to pick up a red, a red seat somewhere. Is all I know is it's going to pick up a red seat somewhere, whether it's still in New York somewhere or I don't know.
All right, I got one more here for you, and then we will check the live chat here. Washington, D.C.'s mayor, Muriel Bowser, has proclaimed Thursday, December 24th, as Dr. Anthony S. Fauci Day.
That was the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
I found something stupider for you for the end of the show, so.
No, it'll all qualify as the stupidest thing I've ever heard, probably. But no, I was like, really? Why? 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 I'm sorry. It's not Madame Curie. Right? It's not Jonas Salk. It's just a guy who was basically given guidance on this. He wasn't one of the doctors in there working up the vaccine, was he? No, I don't understand.
No, he hasn't practiced medicine in 50 years.
Right?
But
And I was under the impression that practice makes perfect, so he should have at least like done something every once in a while.
But at least it's not a national holiday. It is only in the city limits of Washington, D.C., and they're fucked up to begin with, so
Right.
it all fits. All right, let's see what the live chat's saying. We got a busy one going on here. We got Midget B says, "Sup cunts." McConnell Smuggles Coke says, "Demand show faces." Well, we did. John says, "With Robert here, the whole show is surprise stupidity."
I'm surprised by my stupidity often.
Ron Helt says, "AOC should be nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. Is that stupid enough for you?"
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Midget says, "I think she's been separated from Hannah on account of the General Flynn outrage." Yeah, I would too. Nephilim says, "Elaine is looking rough."
Ellen.
I know where
do
he was going with that.
yeah. I get it.
Super Salami Cheek says, "One of the right's future stars. Don't want to see another one in the house, boys. Hee hee." Must be talking about Candace Owens. Ron is wondering where Candace Owens lives. I believe she lives in New York City. Nephilim would rather see Lauren Chen, period. And Nephilim also threw 6 ice creams, by the way.
Nice.
Unsatiable says, "Are y'all burning the $600? No, I'm just going to cut mine up and send it back to him with another strongly worded letter. Midget says, "No, he's not. He should have done it years ago. Now they'll just deride the alternative platform for hosting him and his followers. You know, like they do already." Nephilim says, "Goldland and McChicken, they all used to be inflation proof. There goes one." And Chilaga says, "Fauci sucks. All I've got." All right, we will check back in with the live chat here. We've got to talk about this drama that unfolded this week around the budget, because it has been everywhere off of this. Now, I had planned for this week's show a long, in-depth idea and a long, in-depth discussion over what was in these bills, why they should and shouldn't pass, what Trump should do about this, and what should go on going forward with the rest of the House. And then at, I don't know, about 5:30 Central Time last night, I get the news that all the work that I've done on this is complete bullshit. So, from the Hill, starting off, Trump signs $2.3 trillion relief spending package. So, he signed it. Now, there's some good news coming along with this, and we'll discuss it later. But yes, he came up and he signed it. It's going through all the bullshit that he talked about in the video that I'll show you here in just a bit. It's all going to happen. Just the way that he said that it wasn't going to happen. And he was saying that he was getting some pressure off of people in the White House, lawmakers from both sides, from even some of the private people over on Twitter, which I don't know why he would care about that. He gets that all the time. But yes, he decided that he is going to sign this. So what did you see on this?
Well, the biggest thing that I watched all week was a lot of, I guess, misinformation. Like, even in conversation with my stepdaughter, she's like, "Oh, did you hear that Trump vetoed the stimulus package?" And I said, "No, he didn't." And people were getting confused because he did veto the military spending bill, right?
Yeah.
You remember that? And a lot of people were thinking that because he came out on Tuesday and talked about the relief bill and that he wasn't happy with it, that was him vetoing it. I'm like, no, it hasn't even gone to his desk to sign. And I was telling our cousin, I said, they're shipping it to him on Christmas Eve. They're shipping it to him. They're going to send it to him to look at and sign while he's on vacation. He hasn't vetoed it. But then there was also the conflation that people were seeing because they're wrapping it in with the full omnibus budget as well, the whole thing. And people are seeing it as one big, they're conflating it with one big relief package versus two different things that are together, that just are getting wrapped together to basically to hog tie him into signing it so the government doesn't shut down. Right? They really did kind of tie his hands on that to a certain extent, because he's got to be the president responsible for not only signing the relief package, but not signing the budget and shutting down the government.
Which I don't know why he cares about this, and with some of the stuff that we're seeing, this why he said that he wasn't going to sign another one of these packages, and here we are, 3 packages later. Sign, sign, sign. You might as well just have a
but
stamp
now,
that says
see,
Donald J. Trump at this point.
one thing that he has been consistently saying up into the election, which shifted his focus for a month plus on that, but he had continued to say up to the election, there needs to be another stimulus package for the American people to get another check. This needs to happen. We need it because, of course, they were fighting this over before the Thanksgiving and the election and Thanksgiving, whether or not they were going to do another stimulus package. Trying to come to an agreement. But the whole time he was there and he was saying there needs to be, we want to get checks to the American people and we want it to come big. They need this. So for everyone sitting around, Pelosi, oh, the president finally came around. No, bitch. He was saying it a lot. He was saying we need something big for the American people. Now, whether it was pandering for votes, maybe that's what it was, but he was saying this needs to happen. So it wasn't surprising to me that he said, no, $600 isn't enough because, if you're going to do it, that's not enough. I'm sorry. $600 is nothing compared to what people actually need if you're going to dole out a package like that. And that's where all this other spending comes into question.
Well, let's have a listen to what he actually had to say, which is why I'm so shocked that he actually caved in on this here, because as soon as they introduced it, he put this video out like the next day. So let's have a listen to that.
Throughout the summer, Democrats cruelly blocked COVID relief legislation in an effort to advance their extreme left-wing agenda and influence the election. Then, a few months ago, Congress started negotiations on a new package to get urgently needed help to the American people. It's taken forever. However, the bill they are now planning to send back to my desk is much different than anticipated. It really is a disgrace. For example, among the more than 5,000 pages in this bill, which nobody in Congress has read because of its length and complexity, it's called the COVID Relief Bill, but it has almost nothing to do with COVID. This bill contains $85.5 million for assistance to Cambodia, $134 million to Burma, $1.3 billion for Egypt and the Egyptian military, which will go out and buy almost exclusively Russian military equipment. $25 million for democracy and gender programs in Pakistan. $505 million to Belize, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Panama. $40 million for the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., which is not even open for business. $1 billion for the Smithsonian, and an additional $154 million for the National Gallery of Art. Likewise, these facilities are essentially not open. $7 million for reef fish management, $25 million to combat Asian carp, $2.5 million to count the number of amberjack fish in the Gulf of Mexico, a provision to promote the breeding of fish in federal hatcheries, $3 million in poultry production technology.
So, and he went on for this for another 2 minutes off this, just listing off programs that were, I'm sorry,
Right.
complete bullshit.
Okay, now I'm gonna say this, and this may not make you happy to hear it, but that conflating the two entities, he did it there too, talking about this is the relief package and here's what the relief package has in it. But those numbers he's giving out, that happens every year. That's part of our federal budget. Those things, money, foreign aid and foreign help, and then stuff for the environment and all these different things. That's money that's all we've been spending that every year when the budget gets put together. And to say that that is now, if you want to make the argument, why are we spending this much of our yearly budget on these things when this year 2020 has been an extraordinary year and we need to curtail that spending and direct it into the relief bill, that I'm okay with. But this conflation between the two, if you don't like big spending in government, I understand it. But you need to be on board with doing it every year, because this is the kind of thing that gets signed. This is what holds our government up every year, that threatens to shut it down, is this kind of spending that's going on.
Why do we need to spend this kind of money on so much of this? That's the problem I have with this. Why we're doing this year after year. And like I mentioned before, why he said that he was never going to send or sign another omnibus, and here we are, 3 of them later.
Well, like take Cambodia, for instance. How many years, how many decades have we been probably signing off on our yearly budgets to be involved with Cambodia, money in Cambodia? I mean, it's not surprising that a lot of, we have these diplomatic agreements, these things that we decide we're going to do. Oh, can you help us out with this and that? And sure. Okay. So we'll do that in our next budget, and we'll make it a part of that where we apportion some money to foreign aid. Why do we do it? Because, that's what our diplomacy over the years has created. It's the monster it's created. If we were maybe a little more isolationist and stop trying to help the world get on their feet and fund stupid shit, maybe, but somehow, some way, that is protecting an American interest somehow.
And that's the problem. Part of this I have a problem with, because we are trying so hard to get this $900 billion dollars to the people, when we've got stuff like this. And some people actually went through and started looking up various countries. There's a word search on these PDFs here. So Tim Tierney tweeted this out here. The stimulus proposes giving $700 million to the Sudan. No, really. And he's got the receipts, of course. Section 1591, $700 million available until September 20th, 2022, which shall be for assistance for the Sudan.
But I can promise you that would exist if you pulled out the the spending for the $900 billion coronavirus aid. It's not the stimulus plan that's got that money going to that country. Mm-hmm. We were going to spend that with the coronavirus or not.
Why?
That money was going to get spent. And the question is why?
Exactly. With over 5% unemployment in the U.S., why are we sending this money over there? And I've heard people talk about, and I really agree with this idea, having an amendment into the Constitution that says we cannot send out foreign aid if we have over 5% unemployment in the U.S.
It's definitely something to consider, but you understand, again, that means that you've got to that means our government has to take a more pro-isolationist stance.
Technofrog adds this into here. The government closes the economy. You lose your job. You face eviction. $600 for all your troubles. Meanwhile, they send $135 million to Burma, $85.5 million to Cambodia, $1.4 billion for Asia Reassurance Initiative Act, $130 million to Nepal. Is Nepal even on the world stage right now?
But see, now again, how much have we sent these countries in the last 10 years as well? There is some government interest that is being appeased. I can't imagine we just give it out glad-handedly, unless we just have X amount of dollars set aside in our yearly budget that we'll apportion to various countries, whoever sticks their hand out first. Mm-hmm. But to me, it says that there's some other interest there that we've got, that we're budgeting for that we're spending that kind of money every year.
And the last one that I want to bring up here, and this is, President Trump said it right out in his speech. $1.3 billion to the Egyptian military, which is due to the region and due to the diplomatic ties that they have in Egypt. They are going to turn around and spend that right back in Russia. $1.3 billion of money going into the Russian military manufacturers instead of coming to our manufacturers.
But we can guess and or assume that that's going to happen. But where is their strategic? What is the strategic balance that we gain from that with the Egyptians? Much like Israel, I think it's like a 700 million or something close to that we're sending to Israel. You know, these are strategic maneuvers. When you're talking about the Middle East, anybody over there, anything like that, that all becomes strategic, diplomacy, as you want to call it. And again, foreign interests are costing us a lot of money every year that people don't realize. And that deficit just keeps getting bigger because of these foreign interests. The coronavirus has nothing to do with it. When it's all said and done, except there's a lot of these countries, I bet you, are holding out a hand and asking for our help because their own economies are suffering due to the coronavirus. There's a lot to factor in there as well. So do we need to continue to be that in the face of where we're at now?
Well, there was some pushback in both the House of Representatives and the Senate over this here. Two very viral videos going around this week talking about who didn't want to support all of this and who did. Starting with our very own Coconut Mommy, Tulsi Gabbard. Let's have a listen to what Coconut Mommy had to say about this.
Hey everybody. I just got back from having voted on the House floor on this massive spending bill. I voted against it and I wanted to tell you why. First of all, this bill was over 5,500 pages long. We received the text of this bill at approximately 2:30 this afternoon, and we're told we'd have to go and vote on it just a few hours later. There is no way that anybody in Congress had the opportunity or the time to go through and read this bill to know exactly what was in it. I've been here long enough to see how provisions are snuck into these bills literally in the dark of night without any announcement, without telling anyone what is in it, and then rushed through in the manner that we have just seen tonight. This is the height of irresponsibility, and it is absolutely no way for the people's representatives to be able to represent the interests of the American people. The second thing is the central part of this bill was supposed to be about providing direct COVID relief to the American people who are struggling and who need help the most. This bill dished out hundreds of billions of dollars going towards special interests, going towards the military-industrial complex, going towards foreign countries, meanwhile saying, here's what's left for you. You get $600. I'll tell you, in Hawaii, that in most cases won't even cover 25% of your rent. It is an insult and a slap in the face to every single American in this country who is struggling because of this COVID pandemic, who is concerned about not being able to pay the rent, about eviction, about whether you'll have enough to buy groceries or medicine for yourself or your loved ones. This bill is a representation of the screwed up priorities of Washington. They should be fighting for you and making sure that you, the American people, come first. This bill did not do that.
And that's the American firstism that we keep hearing about. And a lot of the priorities that I saw in this particular bill were very much America last.
Well,
especially with the percentage of it that was going to the relief.
Here's the thing. If you have enough money going to businesses, then you're putting business first. If you have, if you have money going to foreign aid, then you're putting diplomacy first. And $600, they're putting the American people first as well. And the reason being is here's what I think the thought is on Capitol Hill with people sitting around that are still drawing their $200,000 plus a year checks, is that $600 is going to people that have lost their jobs and are already getting unemployment, which have had the benefits stacked, and cushioned. So, I'm not sure who they're wrongly thinking that money is going to, but there are a lot of people out there that don't qualify for unemployment and are really, really fucking hurting for money because of diminished work, or a diminished income in the house. Maybe one person didn't lose their job, but the other did.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, when you take half an income out of a 2-income home, people are hurting, and $600 doesn't address it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, it's questionable. It's so questionable how they did it. But they were trying, I think that a lot of people were getting what they wanted because they did hammer, I'm assuming that the I don't know. I don't know how many people got left in the dark as to exactly what all was in there. But there had to be Republicans and Democrats on both sides that hammered it out and came to some mutual understanding, unless people were just sneaking shit in that the other side didn't know about.
Well, from what I understand about these bills, what's in there is basically all the stuff that they couldn't get passed on single item bills throughout the year. So they just kind of throw it all in there together. Now, I don't know if that's true because I've never looked at one of these. But that's the way that I understand all of this being here. Senator Paul had something more to say on this one here. I've got a 12-minute video up here, but he got to his point within the first few minutes of this. So let's have a listen to what the good Kentucky senator had to say on this.
Senator from Kentucky.
Republicans like to mock modern monetary theory, the idea that government can print money with impunity, that government can spend whatever it wants without the need to tax. Modern monetary theory is basically the Dick Cheney deficits don't matter crowd, trussed up with a new fancy title. Most Republicans rightly lampoon this quackery, that is, when they're not practicing the quackery themselves. Today, many of these same Republicans will vote for a bill that makes modern monetary theory look like child's play in comparison. The monster spending bill presented today is not just a deficits don't matter disaster, it is everything Republicans say they don't believe in. This bill is free money for everyone. Proponents don't care if you're fully employed or own your own house or own your own business. Free money for everyone, they cry. And yet, if free money were the answer, if money really grew on trees, why not give more free money? Why not give it out all the time? Why stop at $600 a person? Why not $1,000? Why not $2,000? Maybe these new free money Republicans should join the Everybody Gets a Guaranteed Income caucus. Why not $20,000 a year for everybody? Why not $30,000? If we can print up money with impunity, why not do it? The Treasury can just keep printing the money. That is, until someone points out that the emperor has no clothes and that the dollar no longer has value. To so-called conservatives who are quick to identify the socialism of Democrats, if you vote for this spending monstrosity, you are no better. When you vote to pass out free money, you lose your soul and you abandon forever any semblance of moral or fiscal integrity. So the next time you see Republicans in high moral dudgeon claiming and complaining about spending of Democrats and socialism, remind them if they supported this monstrous bill that really the difference between the parties is less Adam Smith versus Marx and more Marx versus Engels.
And that's a good way to put that, too. And I mean, to go along with this, I mean, I've come out and said that I'm cutting mine up. When the check gets here, it's getting the scissors right away. because they don't have the money to cover this. And in all honesty, with the stimulus, I would be okay with having a stimulus out there if people had to apply for it. Because there are people that do need this. There are definitely people that need this. But just throwing it out willy-nilly, and he's absolutely right. Where's the difference between this and the UBI crowd? Where's the difference between this and Yang?
Well, see, it's one of those things. It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, and I think both Republicans and Democrats, more so Republicans, are in this position where you have the population, the people, are saying, okay, you put us in this position, it's up to you to dig us out of it. And the efficacy of just flipping the switch and like, all right, let's all just go back to acting like there is no coronavirus. You can't do that either because there's too many people out there. No, we need to be protecting ourselves and no. So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. And now you've got to, even Republicans feel the pressure of, okay, we've got to put money into people's hands. And if you want to sit and say, okay, well, if we give it to certain people that apply for it, that this applies to, okay, who sets the parameters on that? Who is going to be the judge and jury on, okay, you are in a bad position. Well, your position isn't quite as bad as you think it is, so you're denied. It's like the only answer if you're going to do it is to en masse do it to a certain income level, like they're trying to do. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no easy way out on this one. There really isn't. I understand where he's lambasting from, but I don't know. There's too many backs against the wall at this point.
Well, and I will respect the fact that I understand that if you put this into something that's an application based where people can come out and say, well, I'm struggling, I need this help, a lot of the money is going to go into the hands of the wrong people. I mean, look at the monstrosity and the massive inefficiency of the Fox News autoplay that came up here, but the Paycheck Protection Program and people like fucking Osteen, Prosperity Gospel Osteen, that managed to get millions of dollars out of that thing.
Right. And I mean, yeah, I'm sorry, but no matter what you do, I mean, there's really no way to, you can't institute any kind of system or policy that somebody's not going to find a way to corrupt, especially if it entails getting your hands on money. It just is what it is. I mean, just take the tax system, the tax process together. $5 billion was it last year or the year before in bogus taxes paid out. $5 billion in bogus taxes. So somebody's going to corrupt the system one way or the other, and there's been a lot of small businesses that didn't need to take part in the money that did so whenever the first relief package came out. It's like, all right, you see, these people want to fuck with things, and so. But no, we can't continue to print the money. But I don't know. What do you do, Ed? I mean, hindsight is 20/20, but you can't go back and change the path that we're on. You can only try and lay down a new path, the best path. Fuck. I wouldn't want to be in anybody's position on deciding that.
I don't know. My thing would be just opening it back up and expand the unemployment benefits to people who feel like it's not safe for them to go out. I guess if it was me, first off, I would leave it at a state level. I would not put this at a federal level. But I would be willing to, if you feel like you're going to die if you go out and get sick from this because the mainstream media has told you to, well, then you don't have to have the provision of you have to be fired from your job to get your unemployment. But for the most part, just throwing this out willy-nilly like this does blur the lines between the Mitch McConnell crowd and the Andrew Yang crowd.
Well, I mean, it's look, it's it starts, like Rand Paul was saying, it starts to get into that universal basic income mindset. And I'm not going to lie, I foresee that on the near future based off the current administration. Even though, I supported Andrew Yang's motive behind it. The idea behind it. I think, because of the hope it would bring back a better family unit. But it's the spending, dude. We spend so much fucking money on so much other stuff. Like, if we didn't spend the kind of money that we spend on stupid, frivolous things, having a conversation about UBI or free medical care wouldn't be that big of a conversation. We wouldn't be trillions of dollars in debt. Look at the money that they want to spend in this budget on the military.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah, and I didn't even get into any of the NDAA stuff because
right. There was I want to say wasn't it over $1 billion on one ship? Like, there's a ship and it's like $1 billion+ a portion of building the ship. Really?
Yeah.
Really? We're in that day and age. We've got to spend that much to build a ship for our military. Oh my God. That better be a mothership taking us to a new planet.
Well, I want to touch on one other thing that's in this bill, and then the impoundment control that could possibly curb some of this here. One of the big ones that was noticed by people right away looking into this is that the stimulus bill has a provision in there that makes illegal streaming a felony. So basically, and I had to look into this here because I thought maybe like what we're doing here is going to be a felony, but that's not necessarily true. But like, say you went on DLive and you decided, well, I'm off YouTube, so I can't get a copyright strike. I want to go and watch RoboCop with all my fans. What would be normally a civil matter, because it'd be a copyright thing, is now 10 years in prison and a felony, according to what the article brought forward to me here, which I think is a bit excessive.
Now I have to, I do want clarification on that one, because people have said that this was built in it was built in as part of the stimulus package, but I'm like, or was that something they're just getting put through with the regular end of year stuff? But I'm pretty sure that everything clarified that it was something they'd added in, and I'm like, I don't understand what it has to do with anything. But then I realized that they're making it a part of the stimulus package because so many people are at home and have tried to do, like I tried to do a couple of weeks ago. We tried to do a movie night, but all the source, it wouldn't play through any source and see the video because Amazon has some sort of, coding in there that won't allow it to be broadcast through any kind of other medium like Zoom or Discord or anything like that. I wasn't able to show it. And that's why I think it's been included in there. But it scares me because, like, on our Monday night show, we've started doing Fill the Gap, right? Mm-hmm. And we're showing video clips, and some of them are coming off YouTube. So I'm like, okay, what's going to qualify as copyright? And now will we not be able to show anything, any video anybody's done? What's going to qualify as being copyrighted now? And then you're going to face 10 years if you show something on your stream that you're not supposed to.
Really? Amazon?
You never know what. Well, now, yeah. We were going to do a movie night, and we were just going to do it on a Zoom call, but you can't stream an Amazon movie through Zoom. You can hear the audio, but the video won't play through or on Discord, it won't do it. We tried it on those, and we tried it on one other platform. What was it? I forget. 3 different ways we tried, and it wouldn't work.
That's interesting because it worked with Netflix. When I watched Scott Pilgrim versus the World with
Netflix. Yeah, but Netflix didn't have the movie we were trying to show. We were trying to show National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, and it was only available on that one streamer. So it screwed me. Actually, I think I tried to do it through. Did I try and do it through one other streaming network, but not Netflix? They didn't have it. But anyway, I think that's why they built that in there, is why they threw that in there, because apparently that's probably become a problem with, Netflix not getting their money or Amazon not getting their money for shit that was getting streamed in groups, one person buys the video and everybody gets to watch it.
Well, yeah, I
kind
mean,
of shit. Rabbit.
you're doing the exact
That's
same
the other
thing. Like if 10 people sat in your basement and watched a movie, it's the same
Well,
idea. But because we're all social distance, we can't all do that anymore.
Well, both Hulu and Amazon came up with an option for that, and they have viewing parties that you can do. However, if you want to do the viewing party, everyone that's going to watch the Amazon movie with you has to have an account or own the movie. And the same thing with Hulu, you have to have a subscription to Hulu to join that viewing party.
Yeah, that's too much.
And then everybody can watch the same movie that they could all sit by themselves and watch at home. Well, I could just do a Zoom call and you don't even have to stream it together, right? It's just weird. It's like that's defeating the purpose. Now it's like I don't know. It's kind of one of those things. Is it going to become illegal for you to go out and buy a movie on a DVD and bring it home and invite some friends over and watch it? Isn't that the same equivalency?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
I mean, how are they going to? Is that going to be policed next? And I mean, like, are they going to start building a sensor into TV to see if like only the one person who bought the movie is watching it? Oh, there's 3 people on your sofa. This video will not play.
All right, I got one more thing on this budget thing, and then we gotta power through this Nashville thing because I knew that this budget thing was going to take up most of the show, but we got to power through this Nashville one. The last one here, maybe a silver lining for Trump supporters. I don't know because he doesn't know what the hell's going on at this point here. But according to the Daily Wire, Trump is about to use the Impoundment Control Act to gut wasteful spending to try and boost the stimulus checks. And nobody else is talking about this in the mainstreams, but thank God for the Daily Wire for putting this out here. Ryan Saavedra writes, President Trump announced on Sunday evening he was signing the coronavirus stimulus package and the government spending bill, and that he will use the Impoundment Control Act of 1974 in an attempt to get Congress to drop what he's called wasteful spending in order to get them to boost the coronavirus stimulus checks up to the level that he demanded last week. As President of the United States, it's my responsibility to protect the people of our country from economic devastation and hardship that was caused by the China virus, Trump said. I understand that many small businesses have been forced to close as a result of harsh actions by the Democrat-run states. Many people are back to work, but my job is not done until everyone is back to work. So reading on, Trump said that he would sign the bill along with making many recessions under the Impoundment Control Act, which allows the president to impound funds when he transmits a special message. In accordance with the ICA, the U.S. Government Accountability Office explains, upon sending the message, amounts proposed for rescission, that is permanent cancellation, may be impounded for a period of 45 days of continuous congressional session.
Right. Now, this is akin to the line item veto, but it basically forces them to sit and reevaluate the different points that he wants either gutted or amended, like, for instance, the stimulus amount. They have to, over the next 45 days, they would have to sit and go through each one of those lines that he has red marked and decide if they will or won't gut the spending, and then vote on those things, which is great for him if it gets rid of some of that spending, so it's, but again, is it, can he, they shouldn't have twisted the two damn things together. This is what pisses me off. This is what pisses me off is that they just blended them together and have made it just one monstrosity. And it's like, oh, God damn it. You guys just fucked with the pie so you can make sure and get it into the oven and get it baked as quick as possible. And it's going to turn out to be a big pile of shit.
Well, and the question because I read this morning on Contemporary too, and the question that I have for this, the big one, is where the hell was this 3 omnibuses ago? Why weren't we doing this 3 times ago?
Why weren't we doing this? This could go back decades, though. Think of the foreign aid we've spent over the years. How many years do you think we've been giving money to, say, take Vietnam? How many years did we give them money after the war in Vietnam? back and forth for aid and this, that, and the other thing, and every year it would just, we don't who sits around and looks at that? Who sits around in their spare time? When was the last time you looked at the yearly budget and really perused what kind of money we were spending? Most people don't.
Well, no, and we need to do more of that. As U.S. citizens, we do need to do more of that. We definitely do. But once
maybe
again,
this is the great illuminator for us. Like the way they're doing it this time, maybe this will shine enough of a light on it for people to really take stock in what kind of bullshit spending we do on a yearly basis.
we do a lot. So hopefully, and I mean, this is constitutional. The line item veto, of course, is not, because that was found to be so by the Supreme Court back in the 90s. When
Right.
President Clinton tried to do it.
But yeah, this is better. This is better because it's like, nope, we get to hold up the money. We get to sit on that money. You don't get to send it to shit until we've reevaluated where it's going. I like that. Hold the money hostage.
All right, let's see what the live chat's got to say about all this, because they've been busy here. Midget was laughing that I conspicuously skipped a couple of his comments. Well, when Midget is in there, sometimes you can't say that on Susan Wojcicki's website. Otherwise, you'll get wiki-wikied. Harvey McLeod says, didn't he sign it, though? Yeah, he signed it.
He did sign it today with provisions that they're going to have to look at.
McConnell Smuggles Coke says, is it really complicated to understand why we send money to foreign aid? Geez, the lack of brain cells. We own those territories.
Well, I think that money we give them in aid gives us a sense of ownership, but I say everybody's still a wild card. You never know what one place from the next is going to do.
Chilaga had to take off for the night. Thanks for coming in here. Nephilim says, I would say no foreign aid without new taxes to pay for that in that year. Nope, taxation is theft. Stop taxing. McConnell Smuggles Coke says, I'm going to purchase hand washing products with my $600 with the hand washing Pepe. Boulder Vaughn is here. He says, I'm going to buy a bunch of dildos and send them to my congressman.
What if it's a congresswoman? Then the whole joke is twisted.
Super Salami Cheek says, I think we're looking at the next Republican president, chaps. That's a new name in here, so thanks for popping in. Super Salami Cheeks also says, like, Trump would get a check. I guess he could buy a few nights in the Trump Plaza. Boulder Vaughn says, broken windows theory. Don't know what he was talking about with that one. McConnell Smuggles Coke says, the Mitch McConnell crowd has many facets, including the ones fans of his imports. Super Salami Cheek says, somebody's a goddamn grifter. I don't know who he's talking about. Apparently we're supposed to just pay for a movie, man. Unless we want a cinema in our basement. I think, sounds like with the slang that's going along in here, I think Super Salami Cheeks is English.
Yeah, no, I don't mind paying for the movie. I pay for the service. But it's like, God damn, I mean, in these difficult times.
Nephilim says, had to budget most of the show to the budget. Yeah, we kind of did. There's just so much there. McConnell Smuggles Coke says, maybe if you did, you could get your cut of that pie, bid on your local government's projects. Well, most of them are under no bid contract at this point, so you really can't bid on them. Undercut your competition, but you have the moral to not take $20,000 for painting one room instead of taking $100. Wyatt is here from the Breakdown with Birkenhoff. He says I'll have to watch the whole thing later. And Chilaga is actually back, so welcome back, Chilaga. All right, so let's talk about Nashville here, because this is just bizarre how all this happened, and I've been down some of the tinfoil of this. I've been down some of the... I don't know what to do with this. Now, I'm glad you came in and helped us out at the last minute. I was actually looking very forward to seeing and talking about this for a little bit of a longer time with Elaine, because she actually apparently lived and shopped on this block when she lived in Nashville. So this is like right in her home area. But to read briefly from the AP to start off and introduce this to us here, and I've got some video to go along with that. Downtown Nashville explosion knocks communications offline. A recreational vehicle parked in the deserted streets of downtown Nashville exploded early Christmas morning, causing widespread communications outages that took down police emergency systems and grounded holiday travel at the city's airport. Authorities said they believe the blast was intentional. Police were responding to reports of shots fired Friday when they encountered the RV blaring a recorded warning that a bomb would detonate in 15 minutes. Metro Nashville Police Chief John Drake said police evacuated nearby buildings and called in the bomb squad. The RV exploded shortly afterward, Drake said at a news conference. So, what have you seen on this so far? Just the bizarreness of all of this.
Well, I have been watching it, and I'll be honest with you. I heard about it right after it happened, as soon as it hit the news on Christmas Day, and so I started following, just watching for updates as it's gone along over the last 3 days. At first, I was concerned that it might have something to do with the election / igloo, the whole thing there. But very quickly, when I started hearing what they had heard coming from the vehicle, the idea that shots were fired initially to get alerts to the police, it was a very clear indication that someone was trying to avoid civilian casualties. Right. That was made very clear to me early on. And I'm like, okay, this isn't associated with something like that. Mm-hmm. Then, and then of course it jumped out at me that the RV was parked right in front of an AT&T facility. Mm-hmm. That the very first thing I thought right there was, this is one of those birdwatcher 5G nuts. Well, sure enough, as it's gone on, they're beginning to piece together that that's exactly what it was. Even saying that announcement about clearing the area was coming about 15 minutes before the explosion actually went off. So somebody didn't want to lose. He didn't want to hurt anybody. So he was definitely targeting, something specific outside of that, and it was obvious that it was the AT&T building.
Was it so obvious, though? That's the thing. Now, I've got the video playing right now, and there it went right there. It's a silent video, just kind of showing from a traffic cam. Let's start that over and just have a look. And, I mean, they're walking in the street. It's all calm. They've evacuated everything. Of course, a couple cars are still sitting there because they couldn't get them back out there. But, yeah, I think it's about at the 10 or 15 second mark. Yep, there it goes, right there. And I've got some other one too that go along with the audio, but it's not a huge explosion.
No, and it the idea that those two things, that it was parked in front. They very specifically in the first article I saw about it said it had been parked in front of an AT&T building, and then when it came out that there was something being announced to evacuate people from the area before the explosion, it was already I did think that the shots fired were to attract police to try and take out police, because I did have a whole BLM idea that maybe this was associated with that. But announcing to clear the area, that's there wasn't anything else of value there. I mean, other than stores and stuff. So it caused some disruption. But the mindset is, if you're going to cause that kind of disruption, you aren't going to be worried about civilian casualties. That's right. Something you want to go along with that. So it started to become very clear to me that he was targeting where the RV was parked. He had parked it there the night before. He was there all night, apparently, because he was in the RV when it exploded.
No, I've almost wondered if the guy was just a fall guy, like there was something else going. My tinfoil sensors have been going off nonstop on this entire thing.
Well, he's an IT guy, okay? So he was very involved with computers. He was very he was kind of a solitary individual. But he was very smart with computers. And now, interestingly enough, he owned 2 houses, both of which he signed over with at no cost to a woman. You have to correct me if I'm wrong. I believe she's in California somewhere, but signed over his property to her with no money exchanging hands. Like, basically, he knew he was going to die. And they they had a report that one of the tips that came in that the RV was seen in a neighborhood over the last couple of weeks. They went to the house. They did find DNA. They found tissue from the explosion, and they have run DNA on that at this point and found out that it is this guy. I believe they matched it up with a swab from his mother, her DNA. And so they know it's him. And now they're starting to dig into further conversations, social media, this kind of thing, to find out. But they're starting to land on this. This was an attack on the 5G. They're watching us situation that a lot of, this conspiracy idea that's out there.
See, I don't know if I buy that, though, because from what I've talked to IT guys, and I mean, IT guys hate the 5G conspiracy guys. They do, because they think that just makes their job harder.
But you've got to leave room for that sliver, that fringe, that, I mean, not every Republican is a hardcore Republican, right? I mean, not every IT guy is going to be in love with what it does. That's why you have white hat hackers and black hat hackers and gray hat hackers, because they all have different views. And these conspiracy theories, I mean, you know how they are. They can take root in any mind if given the right impetus, and go crazy. I mean, it seems more logical, only from everything, that this was self-motivated as opposed to him being escaped. Because who else would have the desire to blow up an AT&T communications center for a short period of time? Like, you're going to impact communications for a little bit of time, tried to prevent civilian casualties. What's the point? This guy committed suicide. And he wanted to go out and
That's what's bothering me about this, is the fact that he committed suicide. And it's not just like, it wasn't like he was out there with a bullhorn saying, "Get away from this RV. Get away from this RV because it's going to blow up." He wasn't there with a bullhorn. It was an automated message that was going with that. Let's listen to that, because I've actually got video of the lead up to that as well. Let's have just so I can make my point off of this one.
And Phil, I believe we have that surveillance video queued up again. This is right on 2nd Avenue, and this time we have backed it up prior to the explosion, because it does catch the explosion, but you can hear the repeated recordings. And guys, I'm not sure if we have that. We all want to just be quiet and listen carefully to that recording, which police, like you said, Phil, confirming now was coming from the RV. Let's roll it.
All buildings in this area must be evacuated now. All buildings in this area must be evacuated now. All buildings in this area must be evacuated now. If you can hear this message, evacuate now. If you can hear this message, evacuate now.
Now, I mean, we could completely go on the theory that somebody wanted him dead. For what reason? I don't know. Maybe.
My theory has gone that he was dead by the time the thing blew up. Like, that's what the gunshots were. They shot the dude.
But then the question becomes this:
Who,
right? Who would go to all that trouble? So I would wonder, if there's any video, street cam video of the vehicle being parked there the night before.
Which there was.
So did anybody park and leave the RV? Or did he, because otherwise, if no one exited that RV from the time it was parked to the time of the explosion, then it was him. Because unless they decided to go up in the explosion with him. But if nobody was seen leaving the RV after it was parked, So that would be my question. That would help determine if this was just something he did to himself or if this was something more nefarious.
All right, I got a last just to give a scope of what this all looked like. I got one more shot of the footage of the explosion from a distance. So let's have a look just to gauge how big this actually was in the area.
Video, you will see the explosion as it takes place. Let's show you the video now.
All right, so that is.
So just judging by the tower that they had in the background, I'm going to say that this was a good half mile to a mile away. Especially given the fact that it took a second for the sound to get there as well.
Yeah, I would be curious what they used for it, but you know, there wasn't anything, extraneous past the explosion. Like there was no biological agent. There was, nothing, super powerful, like when we think about something along the lines of, getting towards the nuclear level or anything like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It's a pretty elaborate staging. If it's just somebody trying to kill him off, is he a whistleblower? Think maybe he's a whistleblower. He had something that he was about to go public with. I don't know. They haven't given out any indication that there was anything like that yet. But again, I still say if nobody left that RV, then he just he was just ready to go. He was ready to take his own life. I know it's hard to wrap your mind around, but I mean, suicide bombers, is that an unusual thing to contemplate? It happens all over the world.
Well, yeah, usually that gets led though with and as many people around as they could be.
But if you were depressed and you were going to kill yourself, I mean, what better statement than to go out in a big explosion downtown and, I don't know, take out an AT&T structure for a little short period of time.
I don't know. If Elena's feeling better on Saturday, I know she wants to do across the board and get really in depth into this. So there may be an invitation coming your way off of this one.
Well, I have a feeling that by Wednesday or Thursday at the latest, they'll have uncovered enough to paint a pretty clear picture as to why it happened and whether or not there was somebody besides himself involved.
I don't know. It does look like, according to ABC 6 out of Philadelphia, they do have the guy. He writes, "The world's never going to forget me. Nashville Christmas Day bomber said to a neighbor." So, I don't know.
Dude, some people just want to go out in a blaze of glory. I mean, like I said, I want to make that statement. What better way to be remembered when you're just somebody who's going to kill yourself? What better way to be remembered?
I don't know.
Go out grand.
All right, let's talk a little bit about this vaccine stuff here, and then I got some surprise stupidity. We'll catch up with the live chat after this. First, we are seeing the new strain coming out of the UK, but the sainted Dr. Anthony Fauci, who has his now own holiday within the District of Columbia, warns against overreacting to the new strain, advises against banning UK flights. Just to read a little bit from the Hill here. Anthony Fauci, the nation's top infectious disease expert, said Monday that he would not recommend suspending flights from the UK over a more infectious coronavirus strain detected in southern England. "The US should without a doubt keep an eye on it, but we don't want to overreact," Fauci told CNN, after we spent the last 8 fucking months overreacting.
Well, everything in moderation, pal. Overreacting in moderation, please. Actually, there so far, and I've seen this over the last few days as well. There's 3 new strains. 2 of them are on the African continent. One of them is in UK. They say it's more infectious, and the primary reason it's being seen as more infectious is because it's got an increased viral load. So you're more likely to catch it if you're exposed to it. However, early indications thus far, because they did send a military response team to investigate the UK strain, that the vaccine is still a viable option against these new strains, only because, like I said, it's not like it's like a completely different strain. It's just a more buff strain, is what they've been saying so far. All three of them. It's just a more buff strain. And it's maybe not too surprising that it's just trying to find a way to keep going in the face of people trying to stop it.
Yeah, I mean, in all of this here, what I have come to expect off this, and what I've come to accept off of this, is the fact, I mean, this may be the new flu. This is endemic now. We're going to get a COVID season every year.
The flu changes every year.
Yeah.
They have to come up with a new vaccine for the flu almost every year, right? And tweak it so that it's viable for people to take. Let's be surprised that this one's going to take the same track as any other flu bug that's out there. So yeah, I'm in agreement with him. We shouldn't overreact. I think people that are at high risk of catching any infectious disease like this, just do the smart things. And socially distance if it's in your best interest. It's in my best interest. I'm just taking it in my best interest to do so. Stay the fuck away from people. Unless I want to go do something, and then I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to go do it.
Yeah. On the other side of it, and the shutdowns that go along with it. Now, Andy Cuomo has definitely been a name to recognize in this entire pandemic. But at this point, I think he has gone to the let them eat cake phase. So Governor Cuomo has banned fans from football games all season. Now that the Bills have made the playoffs, he says he wants to go to a game in person. And wonders, would this count as essential travel?
That would be stupid for him to do. That would just really be stupid for him to do. It would just be a stupid move. It'll make him look like an asshat.
Well, he already looks like an asshat.
Well, yeah, but I mean, this will cement it, right? It'll just be asshattery that is unnecessary. He shouldn't even be contemplating it and juggling it out there. Not publicly, of all things, right? He shouldn't be. It's just stupid. You're going to make your decisions on how you're going to run your situation. That's fine, but stick to it. Right? It's like, don't make yourself look like an idiot when you're already an idiot.
Well, I mean, when you've got all that power in New York, wouldn't it be wonderful for you to go over and have a private football game just for your enjoyment? And that's all I see out of this here. He's finally found a way to get a private viewing of a football game.
Well, that politics is the one area where do as I say, not as I do doesn't work. It won't work for you. It never comes out in your favor.
Especially with social media attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like he could have possibly got away with this in like the 70s or the 80s.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't even float it out there to anybody that you're contemplating it. Just say you're going away for a weekend to one of your other homes and go the fuck out of state and then fly to the damn game and I don't know, put on a face mask. Just go ahead and put on a whole ski mask. It'd be the smart thing to do, and then go watch your game. Don't fucking tell anybody. You're an idiot.
So I do have to ask, what's your take on all these Congress people and people in the government getting the vaccine before everybody else? I know we talked last week about the fact that AOC was able to jump the line and get the vaccine before all the working people that she claims to champion for. Young and healthy AOC.
Because when it's all said and done, if they take it first, then they show that it's safe for the people of America to take as well. They're model examples. That's AOC, right? Should jump up to the front of the line and get her shot. See, I'm taking the vaccine. Come on, everybody, get your vaccine.
Well, Ilhan Omar pushed back on that this week. Reading from the New York Post, Progressive Representative Ilhan Omar on Sunday called it shameful that young, healthy lawmakers, such as fellow squad members Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, are receiving the coronavirus vaccine before American seniors and frontline workers. The Minnesota Congresswoman joined a growing number of lawmakers who have vowed not to take the Pfizer miracle drug out of concerns that they are jumping the line. It's now clear we don't have enough vaccines for everyone, and there is shortage of supply. We have to prioritize those who need it most, Omar wrote on Sunday.
Well, I'll be honest with you. In the face of the amount of vaccine that's being produced and is being shipped out, 500 or so doses to cover all of Congress, like the primary politicians in Washington, is really a drop in the bucket. Okay, let's be honest there. And if you're fool enough to think that your government is not going to be at the front of the line to take these vaccines, whether for show or whether, the kingdom must not fall kind of mentality, it is what it is. I knew that they would be doling them out in Washington first off the bat. I expected to see political leaders taking the vaccine as a show of support and solidarity for the American people, that the vaccine is good and strong. That way you don't have to question it, right? It is what it is. Anybody's foolish to think that it wouldn't happen. Omar's she gets to be just as foolish as the rest. You knew it was going to happen. I mean, you're a politician, for God's sakes. But you want to grandstand and say, oh, it's reprehensible, and then go behind the curtain and get your shot. Don't even fuck with me, okay?
Well, whether or not it was a good thing for a congressperson to get the vaccine seems to come down on party lines. George Takei got into the mix this week, tweeting this out after Marco Rubio posted that he was going to get the vaccine. George Takei tweets, "There are very, very few instances of known allergic reactions to the COVID-19 vaccine, but Marco Rubio has always thought of himself as a 1 in a million, so there's still hope."
Yeah, it's all got to be politicized, pal. It's all got to be politicized. Everything's got to be politicized now. Everything does. Celebrities, again, I'm of the mind that, politics and celebrities should not intertwine. If you're gonna get into politics, you want to have something to do with politics, do like Reagan did, get out of Hollywood and go into politics. That's fine. But don't use your celebrity to play political games. The American people are too impressionable. This is where we don't look at the populace like children. You got to be careful what you fucking say, because there's too many people that'll take it as gospel, or that'll, for want of a better mentality, there are people that may need the vaccine. It's a good idea that they get the vaccine, that won't, because some celebrity politicized it and made it about whether or not you're a Republican or a Democrat. Which side are you on? Fuck that. If somebody needs the vaccine, if it's a good idea for them to have it, then they should go get it without you fucking up the waters. The politicians do enough of that, and the mainstream media. I don't know.
Well,
they annoy me.
That's just the thing with it too. I mean, Takei, he made his name as being the meme lord, and of course he made Star Trek popular again, because my whole generation hadn't seen the original series for the most part, except for a few of them that they laughed at as being basement dwellers. But he got up and he got right off into the meme culture.
Yeah, but my problem with George Takei is that whenever this is a big one for me, was that when the fame of Star Trek wasn't enough, that he hinged his new popularity on being the gay Star Trek guy.
Yeah.
Right? Not George Takei, the great actor, the gay Star Trek guy.
He was too. He was an incredible actor. I've seen
was
some of the original series.
He was great in Star Trek, but when George Takei became, it's all about gay George Takei. George Takei is gay. George Takei is gay. Well, okay. Well, then you're not an actor anymore. You're just the gay Star Trek guy.
Yeah.
And I have had less respect for him over the years and have ignored much of what he has to say because of that simple fact. That crutch he used. I don't like anybody that plays the identity game, which goes back to Kamala. That's why I can't stand her.
Well, I mean, with Takei, it's so bizarre that he goes this direction. I mean, of course, I understand the mainstream media has told you that if you're gay, you can't be a Republican because they hate you, and they're all Christian conservatives at this point, and they'll stone you to death, in spite of the fact that the Democrat Party will bend over for Islam. But the worst part of it is that the Democrat Party interned Japanese immigrants, and he is himself Japanese. I don't understand Takei's position. I really don't.
Because he is the type of individual that the controversy is important. That's what feeds his ego. He's going to take a controversial stance. He may not, like in his real mind, may not even share the same ideology that he preaches, but the controversy that it creates is what he's going for.
Yeah, I don't know. And that is an active, well, it's not, it's a passive threat against a sitting U.S. congressman too, but of course the Secret Service isn't going to go and visit George Takei, no matter.
Well, no. And see, there's the thing. That's where being the gay Star Trek guy is to his benefit.
Ooh,
because now he can be flamboyantly gay and eccentric, and then now he can say a lot of things that would normally be seen as not good, and it gets sloughed off to the eccentric gay guy from Star Trek. It's a masterful game of media manipulation. That's how you twist that celebrity status and use it. These identity politics only help.
Well, that's all. I can't talk about George Takei anymore.
Yeah, he lost me a long time ago.
Are you ready for surprise stupidity? Because I have something worse than Kamala Harris at this point.
Good luck.
And afterward, if you guys over on DLive want to throw your sticker party up to see if you can generate a little bit more into the chest, after we're done with surprise stupidity, I will pop the chest for you guys here. But we gotta get some more stuff in there. But first, we've got to talk about this that was tweeted out by Jen the Libertarian this past week. So Jen the Libertarian tweeted out a screenshot of a tweet that I'm from a dairy state, so this is especially insulting, the stupidity to me. But see if you can figure out what's wrong with the reply tweet to this. Jen Silverman tweets out, "All I ever wanted from a yogurt is to know who the cows are," and she shows a fancy carton of yogurt in the picture that has the names of several female names along the side. Let me pull this out of studio mode so I can see it in my bad screen here, but I've got Myrtle, Letty, Jenna, Julia, Padma, Lucy, various different names, because I don't know if you know anything about farming, but the cows generally do have a name that go along with them. Mm-hmm. And ESK Rosa tweets in a reply, "Notice how they named all the cows traditionally girl names. There's a deep connection between misogyny and consuming animals."
But not consuming women. See? So it's not true misogyny.
Well, right. And
now, you know what? I grew up on a farm. You don't name a female cow Ben. You just don't do it, because Ben doesn't have 12 boobs. Bill, you don't call her Bill.
Yeah.
you know, uh,
Well,
you want to just call them heifer 1, heifer 2, heifer 3, and then you'll call it body shaming.
well, the worst part of it is, I mean, it's not like she's talking about a steak. If it was just the steaks in the store and they all had girls' name, okay, I could see the argument here. But this is yogurt that comes from milk. When's the last time you saw a steer give fucking milk?
Yeah, and obviously they're not cutting these heifers up if they're getting milk from them, right?
No, that would be tough as fuck. You wouldn't be able to eat that.
Right? I mean, does that mean what was it? Borden. Does that mean they're going to slam Borden and make him get rid of Elsie?
Maybe.
You know what I would do if I were Borden? Fuck you, Elsie's transgender.
And I mean, this was because I read this on Contemporary on Thursday. I looked at this. I said, okay, well, if CSK Rosa wants to go and see if she can get the milk from the bull, because the steer's not going to have any milk no matter which way you go. But if she wants to go try and get some milk from the bull, I would just call that natural selection at that point.
Maybe that should have been the reply to that. It's just like, hey, if you would rather, we'll just get you some milk from the male cows. It's not going to taste the same, but whatever. There you go. They produce a lot too.
So that's what I had. That was your surprise stupidity for the week.
That is, there's some stupidity there. There's a lot of stupidity there. It's stupidity wrapped around some stupidity.
All right, I am hitting the chest right now, you guys. So probably in a little bit, you're going to see the prompt pop up and start asking if you want to claim your lemons to do that. Since you're a guest here and not my regular co-hostess, why don't you tell a little bit, or the audience, about a hobby that you have that has nothing to do with work or politics, and tell them where they can go and find your work, and the next time you'll be streaming.
Let's see. So hobby. To be honest with you, mostly what I do outside of any of this or my just work is play in the garden with my wife. We love the garden.
You have an epic garden. I will say that.
She's a very avid gardener. To be honest with you, most days I sit around and watch butterflies and bees, watch nature. Seeing how nature really interacts is really awesome when you get it up close and personal, day in, day out. Is really beautiful. But yeah, as far as where to find me and my notorious cohort, John, we are the Generational Gap. We have a little stream on YouTube that we do. We also broadcast on DLive, Twitch, and Periscope sometimes when it's not acting naughty. But we come at you. We'll actually be doing a show tonight. Our Filling the Gap show is on Monday nights at 9:30. We also have an episode of Shooting the Shit on Wednesday nights at 9:30. And then we also do a regular news and media episode on Friday nights at 8:30. All of those are PM, and those are in the Eastern time zone, the one and only true time zone. You can find us out on Twitch at the Gen Gap P. Excuse me, on Twitter. I said Twitch, not Twitter.
It's always Twitch.
Right. You can find us on Twitter at the Gen Gap P. We also have a Discord server. If you look us up on YouTube, you'll see all the links for various sources you can find us, there's also what's that one website that we all hang out on? I always forget. Something with ice cream. I forget, Ed, what is it?
Freedomscoop.com.
Freedomscoop.com. That's it. My memory at this age is just really getting rattled. But no, we love being a part of the Freedom Scoop network and hanging out with all you guys and getting to share our opinions with the rest of you who are mostly wrong all the time. But that's about it. That's about where you can find us.
All right. And as far as the live chat goes, McConnell Smuggles Coke donated a diamond and said, nice. W8, or I'm guessing that's weight. Are you saying open bids on my local government are no competition locked? Well, it will depend on your government. I know here they have no bid contracts, and I know in the federal sense they have no bid contracts. Me and a friend are starting a road paving company to stop the road corruption in my state/county.
Nice.
Wyatt is here. He says, my dad said right away it was probably a nut job. Chilaga's never seen the video of the guy walking. Was he killed? As far as I know, there were 3 injuries. One was a possible permanent hearing loss in a police officer, but they were all police officers.
Yeah, only the person, whoever was in the RV, is the only fatality associated with the bombing at this point.
RRC's point about him not wanting to hurt innocents is a great counter to the setup tinfoil argument. So I'll have to go and check out and see what the RRC had to say about that. Wyatt says the Nashville story is just a massive tinfoil moment if you want it to be. McConnell Smuggles Coke says they need to break Tennessee. They resisted a lot of the COVID-19 stuff. Let's see. Wyatt says the COVID media continues. Got to have the private football game. I don't know what Wyatt is facepalming at.
Jen, the tweet that you were showing, stupidity.
I'm not sure. McConnell Smuggles Coke says good one, probably on the same thing on the tweet for the surprise stupidity, and finishes off with he'll get the last word, says you don't eat women, and that is going to be it for the show. So we are going to head on out of here. Come on. Let's get the outro music moving here. We are going to head on out of here for the night. Thanks everybody who came by and hung out with us. If you are just catching up now, you can find us back on demand over on YouTube and over on BitChute.com. Or you can find us back on the audio platforms, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and Spotify. And remember, if you're over on iTunes, leave us that 5-star rating and a good review. That always helps us move up the charts, helps us overcome Apple's algorithms, and helps us get the message out to more people. And lastly, as my guest co-host mentioned, we are a part of the Freedom Scoop Media Group. Come on over there, pick up some of our swag, and help us support great creators like The Generational Gap, The Freckles and Brit Show, The R-Rated Conservative, The Daily Ignoramus, and The Breakdown with Birkenhoff, as well as all of my programming as well. Come on over there, pick up some of our swag, help us grow, help us get the word out there, because my big dream is to put the Daily Wire out of business, and I can't do that without the help of people like you and word of mouth. And lastly, as I always say, never take the words of bloggers, podcasters, or journalists as gospel. Find all the facts and draw your own conclusions. Robert, why don't you lead us out of here with the last word?
Well, I just want to say I appreciate you having me on and let me represent the generational gap. And hopefully in a few days we'll start 2021 and things will get a little different, but probably not.
And we will be back here, of course, next week with hopefully our regular co-hostess. Hopefully she doesn't die from the commie coop, but head on over there to her Twitter, LibertarianRedhead1, and go and send her a get well message. And we hope to see her back. Until then, take care, everybody. Have a good night, and we'll see you in the morning for Contemporary.
Peace out, folks.